Yeah. Okay, so what we're about to cover is we're going to cover our NCAB. For the NCAB, basically we have 5 micro tests that we've got to complete. Test number 1 is going to be everything that does not require power. Test 2 will be everything that requires power. Test 3 is going to be our brake test. Test 4 will be the tug test. And test 5 is going to be the 5-mile-an-hour test.
Can we open the hood?
Sure, absolutely. Okay.
So let me see this. Can I get this one? Thank you very much.
Okay. So starting out with test 1, everything that does not require power. You have 5 items that do not require power. Number 1 is going to be our seat belt. Number 2 will be our fire extinguisher. Number 3 will be the triangles. Item 4 will be the fuses located inside the glove box. And number 5 will be the windshield and the mirrors. Remember that everything gets an introduction. The introduction is the same and it's not going to change. Our introduction will always be
properly mounted and secure, not bent, not broken, or cracked, or damaged.
Absolutely. After the introduction, you're just going to tell me what it is you're checking for. All right. So number 1, my seat belt gets an introduction of being properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What I'm checking for, I'm checking to make sure that the seat belt is not frayed or torn and that it latches and unlatches. Okay. Great. Item number 2 is going to be the fire extinguisher located to the floor on your left, and it is properly mounted, secure, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. And you'd be checking to make sure that the fire extinguisher is properly charged and rated. Item 3 is going to be the triangles located to your right on the floor, and they are properly mounted, secure, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. And what you're checking for is to make sure that you have 3 red reflective triangles. Item 4 will be the fuses located inside the glove box, which again are properly mounted, secure, not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. And you're checking to make sure that you have 6 spare fuses. And last but not least, item 5 is going to be the windshield and the mirrors, both of which will get the introduction. And after that, what you are checking for is to make sure that there are no chips or illegal stickers on your windshield and that your mirrors are properly adjusted for the driver. Okay. 5 items that we just went over. Number 1 was what?
Seat belt.
2.
Fire extinguisher.
3.
Red triangles.
4.
Fuses.
5.
And the windshields and mirrors.
Good. Questions?
No.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do what we call a safe start so that we can do the items that require power. To do a safe start, what you do is you turn your key to the electrical position, wait for the beeping and the clicking to stop. Notice that your ABS light came on and went off. We'll go ahead and crank up the truck. Great. Now we have our truck running, so we're going to do 5 items that require power. Number 1 is going to be my horns. Number 2 is going to be my windshield wipers. Item 3 will be my lights. Number 4 will be the gauges. And number 5 will be the heater defrost. Okay? So number 1, my horns will get an introduction. What you're checking for is that the city horn works and the highway horn works. Bump. Okay. Number 2 is going to be the windshield wipers. The windshield wipers are going to get an introduction. And what we're checking for is to make sure that they operate smoothly and dispense fluid. So to do that, right here on the end, we're just going to take it and push it in and hold it. And then we'll get the windshield wiper fluid that comes out. Number 3 is going to be the lights. Okay, so we will do a light check. We're going to check our left turn signal, right turn signal. Okay, turn on our lights to make sure the low beams are working. Top row on the left.
Top row on the left?
Yep. So the low beams are working, high beams are working just by clicking up on the little on the little bar right here. Okay. So your high beams are working, and your 4-way flashers, they're on the bottom row on the left. I'll show them to you. Okay. All right. So then we have our gauges. We're going to do all of our gauges from left to right. So the first gauge I have is going to be my oil pressure gauge. Okay. My oil pressure gauge is the first gauge. It's risen to normal operating range of 35 and there's no warning lights. Then we have my battery gauge has risen to normal operating range of 13 and there's no warning lights. have both the primary and secondary air gauge have risen to normal operating range of 120, and there's no warning lights. Last gauge I have is going to be my coolant gauge, has risen to normal operating range of 180, and there's no warning lights. Okay?
Okay.
So we did all of our gauges from left to right. We had 5. 1 was the oil pressure, 2 was the
Boats.
battery, 3 and 4 were the air gauges, and 5 was the coolant. Okay. Last but not least, we have our heater defrost. The heater defrost, what we would do is turn it on high, on defrost, and on heat to make sure that we have heat coming out of the top and the bottom. Okay. Excellent. Now, that was 5 items that required power for us to check. Number 1.
Horns.
Number 2.
The lights. Oh, the wipers.
Number 3.
The lights.
Number 4.
The gauges.
And number 5.
Defrosted.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Alright. So now what we're about to do is our brake test. My brake test is really important, okay, because most people will mess up on their brake test. If they mess up at all, it's going to be on the brake test. Basically, we have 5 steps to get set up in order to perform the brake test. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is turn our truck off. Okay. The second thing I need to do is turn the truck to electrical. One more. Okay. Third thing is going to be pushing the red knob.
Push it in.
Pushing it. Fourth is pushing the yellow knob. And 5, you're going to put your foot on the brake. Okay. Great. I always tell you guys, you want to use as much pressure like if you were to stop at a stop sign, how you would hold your foot on the brake. That's about the same amount of pressure you're going to want to use. Okay? Now, with your foot on the brake, you're going to tell the examiner that you don't want to lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Okay? We don't want to lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. So we just hold our foot on the brake. Okay? From 1 to 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yada, 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 yada. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Great. We didn't lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start pumping our brakes. We're looking for our warning lights to come on at 65. Okay, both of them. Okay, so my warning lights came on at 65 in the primary and the secondary. Now I'm going to continue to pump because I need to get down between 20 and 40 so that my knobs can pop out. Okay, keep pumping. All the way down between 20 and 40. Sometimes you gotta bleed them all the way out, but they'll pop out. Great. So then the knobs popped out between 20 and 40. Okay, that was pretty spot on. Okay, now when your knobs pop out, you're gonna get out and remove your chocks. Okay, because for the day of your test, your tires are gonna be chocked. I'll chock your wheels. So you get out and remove the little triangles from the tires. Okay. Then you're gonna hop back in, and now we're going to do a brake. Now we're gonna do a tug test, right? Which is test number 4. But if you look at it, can I do a tug test if I'm all out of air?
No.
And I've got warning lights?
No.
No. So what we got to do is crank up our truck and build back up that pressure. What are we going to build up that pressure to? What did we say normal operating range was?
110?
120.
120.
Okay. Let's go ahead and crank it up. Now what I like to do is to build it up. I press the middle tab, then the end tab. That'll build it up faster. what your truck did, I don't know if you heard it, but it just let the air release valve popped off. That's how you know that you're back at operating range or at 120. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do our tug test. How we're going to do our tug test is go ahead and push in the red and leave out the yellow. Okay. Put your foot on the brake. Press the letter D. The letter D.
Oh.
Okay. Take your foot off the brake.
Nobody in front?
Okay. And nothing's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Great. That's our tug test. That's how I know the brakes on my tractor is holding. Now push in the yellow and pull out the red.
I'll hold on to the brake or no?
No.
Pull out the red?
Put your foot on the brake. Okay. Put it in drive. Okay. Take your foot off the brake. Nothing's gonna happen. Okay. That's how we know that the trailer brakes are working. All right. Then after you do that, you would do your 5-mile-an-hour test. I'm just gonna walk you through it because they're standing right there. What you would do is you'd make sure the yellow is in. You'd make sure the red is in. Okay. You'd put it in drive. And then you put your foot on the brake. I'm sorry, you put your foot on the brake, then you put it in drive. Now, when you take your foot off the brake, it's gonna roll forward, maybe about from where we are to that first yellow pole, okay? Then you're gonna come to a slow stop. You're gonna tell the examiner you're checking to make sure your truck didn't pull to the left or to the right, and that your service brake is working. All right? Perfect. Okay, at this stage now you should have a complete recording of the ABC, coupling and end cap. We're going to be driving. You're signed up for Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay. We'll be driving on Saturday. At the end of the week or at the end of your session on Saturday, I'll be asking, because this is your first time riding with me this weekend, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be asking, how you feel about it. What do we need to go over? Starting as of Monday, we're going to go right back over everything we went over. So Monday will be the A card. Tuesday will be the B card. The C card will be on Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera.